as an AP, I'm fortunate now to have had conversations with HR and facilities and building operations about all the various components that go into this decision. So while when I walked into this, I was thinking hybrid. As we continue the conversation, I kept thinking, I just don't see how we can do it, like with the staffing issues and all the other things with the PPE and the building access and all of that. The last thing I'll say is, though, these conversations have given us the information I think we need to start thinking through for when we move beyond virtual and start thinking about hybrid. So I just think this is wonderful.
Thank you. Would anyone like to add before we move to the next section?
Yeah, I'm going to go on to what Mr. Duncan said. And, I have about 6 staff members who live in Prince William County with me. Actually, I have a couple that live in my same housing complex. And understanding when Prince William decided to go to virtual and their reactions to that, I'm getting calls like, how am I to, if we do a hybrid, how am I to be home with my kids? And I'm just taking this to the personal level of just talking to our staff members, because I was really excited about the hybrid. I was like the AABB day. I mean, that model right there. I was really gung ho for that. But just the reality, when Prince William said, we're going all virtual, I have 2 high school students. Yes, I have great kids. My kids are awesome. But can I really trust them if I'm at work to be fully virtual? Getting on when they need to get on. And that's where my mind clicked to, as well as my those teachers that work in my building who are here in Prince William County. They have younger students, in elementary. I'm like, how are they going to support their babies? And we have single moms, so I was that's where my head, I went to my staff members and what my staff members were feeling and the anxiety that they were feeling about that. So I'm glad that we have that opportunity, but I'm I'm interested in the learning pods and what we can do to support those students of need. And especially, in talking to another single teacher, she was saying that she was a special education teacher. She's ready to jump back and going into the schools, going to work physically. And I'm just thinking repurposing. You remember we had that conversation about repurposing. If those high need students, if we do open citywide programs on a smaller level, she would jump at that chance to do that, working with, because of her certification. So I transgress. Just wanted to add.
No, that's good. You're spirited. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot of, I know I'm been thinking, we kind of have to start off virtual, but I'm not in the space to accept, oh, we're going to be virtual the whole year, or, oh, we're going to be virtual. Like, I'm not there yet. And so I do think we need to I think it's good to have all these conversations to think it through. And the learning pod thing, I'm the same way. I'm thinking, thankfully, my kids have started back at an in-home daycare, very small, so I feel okay. And I'm like, I could do, small group outside with like high needs EL kids. Like, that's something I feel comfortable doing, I think. So I would like to explore that more.
Thanks.
Well, I personally was always kind of thinking virtual was what we would want to do. Just maybe it's because I'm lazy, but the logistics of hybrid, when I started thinking about it, it just seemed impossible. But what I've really appreciated is in central office, the students are our focus, but it's an abstract thought. And the percentages of how many of our students are free, reduced lunch and things like that. But again, it's kind of abstract. It's not our day-to-day. So I've appreciated being able to see people for whom these statistics are immediate, and their focus and their enthusiasm and desire to help those students. And so I'm still thinking virtual, but I really do see why people would want hybrid a lot. The kids out of the house, but all of the supports that we provide to them and our desire to provide those supports, that our employees really want to do these things. So that's been really valuable for me as well.
Perfect. Don, you're the last person. Do you want to report out anything or any thoughts?
I'm sorry.
Is your screen frozen?
Okay.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, it froze for a minute.
Okay, now good.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I've always been in favor of virtual. I've had many people reach out to me, some people in tears about the thought of going back, excuse me, in person. So I've always supported the 100% virtual option.
Okay, thanks. I mean, this is good to see that we're on the same page, because I think it's going to help us as we make those critical decisions about the things we've discussed, tiering, those individuals who are willing to do things like explore neighborhoods and bring kids out in small groups and work with special populations, as well as those discussions that we've had about like what type of, I mean, we still need to think about it as we move into the hybrid situation, but it doesn't put such a heavy burden on us to think about the way that we will determine who is critical in terms of coming back into the workplace. So I think that that's a good thing. We'll be able to have more time to work those kinds of issues out. So thanks for your report out. Okay, let's dive right in and go into, I think it's the, let me find out what page it's on.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
In the workbook where it says recommended division guidance, I think we went through that, but did we finish the school actions?
What page are you on?
I am on, this is page 11.
Hold on, page 11.
The grade out columns.
The grayed out column?
Yeah, we didn't finish
We
that.
didn't finish those, yeah. We don't got back down. Okay, well, I think, yep, you're right. So it looks like the next question on there that we did not get to was how does our work align with the CDC directives? Is that where you're at, Alexander? Is that where we left off?
I can just search it. How does our work align?
With the CDC directives?
Okay, I'm with you
How do we
now,
identify
yes.
people that can't return if we have a high risk environment in the fall? And I think that what's important here now for us to discuss is that if we are in agreement that our collective recommendation is that we start off virtual, then some of our questions need to reflect that. So I think this question, the recommendation that in that grayed out column, we should be adding language that says something that indicates that we are recommending that that we start with a virtual model, and we would need to assess as we transition these questions in particular. I mean, it kind of gives us a little bit of an out, to be honest with you, but I don't think we need to determine if we're in agreement that it's going to be a virtual transition is the best transition for staff, so that's who our focus is, then we won't need to identify people who can't return at this point. And we would need to assess at the time the division decides to transition what the CDC guidance is at that point.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once we, if we decide to go virtual, I'm just, putting that out there, and we do the transition, do we come back together as a team, or are we constantly in communication?
I'm sure that
throughout the
there's
whole
going to
process.
be, yeah, I'm not sure what the schedule will be, but what I've heard is that this is going to continue to be a working group, not at the intensity and not at the 2 days a week for 2 hours, but I believe that you would still be influencers, if you will, as we roll out each stage. We would have to come back together to kind of discuss based off of what we provide and that we identified are important points to consider, how those would be implemented. But this is a moving, it's a moving, living thing. So that's my understanding as of today.
Sandra, I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do we also want not only the CDC recommendations, but also, like you mentioned the other day about the Virginia
Yes.
workplace safety rules, standards, whatever they're called?
Yeah, we probably need to add that in there. And so, Alexander, in that first block where it says, how does our work align with CDC directives? I also think that, as Don stated, we could add in there CDC and Virginia, is it Healthy Workplace or something? What is it called? I forgot what it was called. It's like Virginia Safe Workplace, or I gotta go back to my email. I forgot the name of it. Let me see. I sent it to somebody else, the links, and I'm trying to see if I can find, let me see if this is what it's called. It is called, it's Emergency Workplace Safety Standards. So that would be the other thing we want to put in here.
I'm also adding that with our general recommendation statement.
Okay. Yeah, I'm putting it in the other block.
Virginia adopts first in the nation workplace safety standards for COVID-19.
Yeah.
Found it.
Yep, I just added it to the block. Okay, so in that okay, good. I see that you, perfect, Alexander. That's exactly what I think needs to go in there. Oh, I can tell, I'll share with you real quick while he's typing that in. So yesterday, I was at a meeting with the chairs and co-chairs for these groups, and Alicia Hart did a presentation just to talk about what the cleaning components would look like, and what the cleaning plan would look like if we were to go back in a hybrid environment. And I'm glad that you all shared out before I tell you like the cost, because once you hear this, you would probably be like, there's no way. Because I don't know where the money would come from. I mean, someone would have to do their magic, but just the cost for masks, and these are not the disposable ones. These would be masks that they would give you one that's reusable, keeping in mind you would still need disposable ones for the people who never remember to bring them back. It was upwards of $500,000 for all students and staff to get these masks.
And so, that's if you get them, because
that's just for mask.
Yeah.
That's just for masks. And then they did kind of like a checklist of what type of EPA certified cleaning chemicals, the difference between the common areas, high touch areas. They talked about the frequency of cleaning that would need to take place, the daily inspections that would need to take place at buildings as you transition. And of course, you know, the big ticket item is we have 57, or maybe it's 56, don't quote me on the exact number, my memory is, you know, in the 50s, bus stops. So you would have to figure out how you would have somebody at a bus stop to do
Wipe
a
down.
temperature check and or make sure kids have PPE on at the bus stops. You know, there was also like recommendations that you don't have to put on the school system. You could say that parents need to make sure their child has these items and does the temperature check before the kids even go to the bus stop. But you guys are educators and you sit in classrooms. How many parents just say, you'll be okay, pop an aspirin in their mouth and send them on their way?
And it's funny because before I left GW, I had 3 different parents email me wondering if schools opened in the fall, what we were going to be doing about making sure kids wore their mask, or that there was someone at the bus stops with the disinfectant or cleaning. I mean, I just was like, I can't even, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and again, we're talking about the basic stuff. So for like face shields, you know, those would be needed for like bus drivers, specialized instruction staff, school nursing staff, gowns that might be needed for like the school nursing staff, because if someone was identified during the course of the day and you had to isolate them in some way, they would need different type of gear. So it was really comprehensive. I mean, she went through and really talked about these if, ands, or buts, which at the end of the conversation, I was just like, I don't even know how we're having this discussion. Like, it's just kind of a no-brainer. But you know, I think again, everyone's best interest is thinking about what Dr. Hutchins said in our big group, and that is, it's easy to consider our own feelings, and we're lucky in this group that we get to consider the feelings of staff. But there's this bigger issue with the needs of kids, which is what a school division is all about. And so it's hard to weigh those. And while we need to keep that in our peripheral, this group is charged with making sure that the plans are executed. We're the only group that's considering the needs of staff, you know, in a very focused front way. So it's our responsibility to really make sure that we're keeping that at the forefront of our discussion.
You know, and it makes me,
sorry.
It just makes me think, even if we do those learning pods, could we do learning pods based off of what you're saying just now? Because of all of the regulations and the guidelines that we have to follow. That you just put a different perspective and spin on it.
Well, the thing that occurred to me with the learning pods idea, which is nice, it's a nice idea, but it would probably be a roughly geographic thing, right? Like all the kids in this certain neighborhood, and so we assign a teacher, a couple of teachers to that group. Well, then we come up against DOE guidelines regarding what teachers should or can be teaching what subject. You're going to have a variety of ages and a variety of subject areas that need to be taught. Well, we can't possibly get a certified teacher in each subject area to those students. So the learning pods work for situations that are set up now because there's no requirements on those arrangements with regard to who can teach them. You know, they're getting tutors. Well, what certifications do those tutors have, really? But as a school division, we have stricter regulations that we have to follow for who can teach.
Yeah,
it's a good, nice idea, but I mean, that would be also.
There was like a tweet that I read from some teacher, teacher thinking about this and, talking to parents that were thinking about setting up learning pods, and she recommended, involve the school, ask the school for advice, don't just do it on your own. So I feel like even if I see that, you know, we're going to take on, I think the district is afraid of taking on too much responsibility, liability, I guess.
Yes.
And, but we have to be careful because I'm not sure of the big picture, but that was a problem in the spring, you know, like, because we focus, I mean, this is totally off topic, but the reason I wanted to join this was to make sure that kindergarten through second got Chromebooks. You know, I'm still extremely mad that we have enough Chromebooks for our entire school sitting in the school that were not given to students because we were afraid of not being equitable. Like,
well, they're gonna take care of that. K and 1 are gonna get tablets, and 2nd through 12 will have Chromebooks. The 2 points. I just wanted to
finish one thing. Sorry, I went off topic. But I think even if it's not teachers that are like staffing the pods, I guess we don't even know who it would be. I think the school should be a part of organization. I guess we can't take on too much, but we have to help.
So we have, yeah, but you need to be careful. That'll be in the curriculum, because what you're doing is we're now creating another model within the model. And I think that when we get into the creative ideas about learning, that's something that can be addressed next week. So 2 points. One, is that $500,000? That's only the max. That's not the total amount, because what you must be talking about is like $3 or $4 million for just the facilities aspect. Is that?
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm just talking about
Okay.
just masks and just like giving everybody one mask kind of thing. You know,
Okay.
not
Okay.
the
And then
disposables, not the specialty ones, not the robes and the gloves that other, you know, depending on what work group you're in, just the masks.
Okay, and then waivers. The other thing that might come in our realm is when we get to the point that we go back into hybrid or traditional, or whatever it happens to be. We move out of virtual, because I just have this gut feeling we're going to end up in virtual. We're going to be looking at probably anyone who enters or participates in our educational process will have to sign some type of a liability waiver that they realize coming back into this environment may expose them to COVID. Is that what you're also seeing? Is that something that we're going to be?
I don't know that, you know, I don't know that we can make people sign waivers.
To sue us. I mean, because I think that's what it comes down to. You put me in an environment where I'm going to sue you, be it a student, be it.
I think there's still
I can see that we asked our staff to sign a statement saying that they must comply with procedures for PPE, like you know, they have to follow certain procedures to be safe, right? Because that's part of their responsibility. That, you know, like that, you know, they have to follow certain procedures to keep everybody safe.
right.
But I can't not see us asking them to sign a waiver that you will not sue the schools.
Because it's hard to say that because it's a environmental, you know, thing. It's not like you're coming in and you're roller skating through the, you know, we don't have a control over the environment. So it's like that
Right.
nature kind of clause. So that's why I don't think that we would be able to get people to sign liability waivers.
But we can, but don't you agree that we can ask our staff to sign here that you must comply with certain procedures to make sure that
That's like
They
having
follow.
to sign the computer use agreement
Yeah,
thing. This
yeah,
is like,
that
this
is
our
not- yeah.
policy. You have to sign that you're going to do it. I see it that way.
But what happens if people don't comply? I mean, I guess that would be a part of the discussion also, because you can say people sign this, that, and the other thing, but if they don't comply, I mean, what would be the, you know, what would be the recourse for the school division if they don't do that?
Yeah, we asked that. That was a question that we put in our earlier chats, and that we did capture that question, like how will it be administered, who will be monitoring, and what, if any, repercussions occur. And I think that that's something that, again, will have to go back and be revisited because it's, there has policy implication to it in terms of like whether there was disciplinary action, whether there was, I don't know the answer to that. I am looking at the chart that you were, and I'm on page 13, Alexander. I'm just trying, I see you highlighted all of these, and I'm wondering if, yes, I see that you copied that down, which is good. I'm wondering if we should try to look at the next part. Let me see how many we have left here on this page.
I left the ones blank that I felt like might.
Yeah, because
require-
some of these are not directly, they're not directly our work, so I don't think we need to give a response to it. Like the question about virtual instruction training.
Right.
Yes, I agree with you. I don't think we can put a response in those because they don't technically belong to us. I'm just going down the list to make sure we've covered it. So it looks like
What about
that
that one at the top of page 13 where it says, how will HR collect data regarding individuals' capacities?
I'm on the top of page 13. Okay. I'm on 13. Okay, I see where the cursor is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, again, what will need to be done is that HR is going to lead I think this is the one area where I said, well, I think we are going to lead it and create a preferably electronic format for submission with the criteria identified as a result of like whatever the CDC or Virginia guidelines are, so that we're not just arbitrarily saying these conditions count and these ones don't. We need to do it as a basis off of what has already been put out there.
Real quick, what does WUFU mean? Is that the WUFU form?
I don't know who built the WUFU form. Is that out of Technology Services?
Yeah.
I don't know why
Yes.
it's called WUFU.
Yeah.
That's just what
Yeah,
it's,
I don't know.
but it's a
Similar
form.
to a, yeah.
Yeah, it's a form. It's like if you use Google Forms, but it's built off of a
That's what I
different
was gonna say.
platform. But I know that
Okay.
in IT, they build the form and it collects data on the back end that you can use.
Well, isn't it also like when you do a request to hire or when
Yeah,
the
we use a
old
WUFU
to hire
form.
form was a WUFU form, so you
Yeah.
filled it out on the website and you sent it in,
Yeah.
and then you
Right.
sent an email to the person who's supposed to get it.
But I don't know
Yeah.
why it has that
Oh.
name. That's just
No
what
idea.
Tech Services called it. So I never asked.
I wasn't sure if it was a typo. Or, you
No,
know,
that's
why.
it. That's what it is. Okay, so I think that you're good, Alexander. That's exactly what needs to be in there. And then on the last couple of ones, so I can tell you that yesterday we did work on, again, the recruitment team, putting together some, and again, I think this is like one of those things what Pat said is like, I don't want to talk about processes within processes, but we looked at the substitute dilemmas, the issues that could arise in terms of substitutes and what other options that we might have to consider. All of them cost money. All of the options cost money. So that puts a restraint on it. But I think here you also could put in that block that human resources is evaluating substitute feasibility and options. And that could go in that spot because HR is going to kind of own that one too. Part of it's, like I said, the other question is kind of benefits and compensation. And then this question is definitely recruitment.
I wrote it. I'm just trying to find which box you're in.
Okay, it's on page 16.
Okay.
The last one.
Yep, go up two boxes. So the box you're at, go two above that, and that's where the substitute statement is. Yep, you got it.
All right, let me go back to my other statement.
So like HR will consider recruitment strategies related to substitutes. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and then in the block right below it, well, that's not the block right below it. Where's the next block that says HR in it? There's some place where we're supposed to be able to put, that one's for technology. Hold on. Let me go down the page. Schedule reflection and interdependencies. Did they move it to the top of the page? Schedule. No. There was supposed to be, I think, another link outside of this that they were looking for us to complete. Okay, let me ask, I want to make sure Sima knows.
Was it the PowerPoint slide thing, the Google Slides, the playbook?
Yeah, where, do you have the link for that?
I can put it in the chat.
Okay. That's what I was looking for. I'm like, I can't see.
I know it's been so many.
There's so many links that they've sent out. Okay, perfect. Okay, and maybe since I'm pulling it up this way, I will also share it when it comes up.
Did it work?
I think so. Oh, yeah, it came up. So let me try to share the screen on this one. And there we go. I have no, why did this open up in my personal account? I have no idea, but you guys can see it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we need to find the HR page, which is right here. And this is now what we need to work on. Hopefully you guys can read it better than I can. It looks so small for me.
Yeah, it's very
Can you
small.
put it in the present mode or?
Okay.
Can you change your increase your size?
It's
Like-
showing up the way it does. Like if you open it on your computer, that's exactly what it looks like. It's just small, and everybody else's looks the same way,
Okay.
unfortunately. But I understand, like, you know, the size.
Can you magnify it? Yeah, I was wondering if
Yeah.
she could magnify it.
Yeah.
So it still looks
Thanks.
small on your screen?
Yes.
Oh,
Unless
that's
we
weird.
magnify. I don't know.
I
Could we
have
magnify?
it, I mean, like it's full screen on mine now.
Yeah.
It looks like it just got a little bit bigger, but maybe there's a lag. I'm not sure.
That's weird.
And I can't magnify, you know, with my touch screen. I can't magnify it either.
Neither can I. And it doesn't show just the one slide. It's got all the other slides in the
It
side.
shows all the other slides too. On my screen, it's
Mhm.
only showing the one slide. That's so weird. Okay, hold on. Let me redo it and see if there's something that's weird. Is that any better?
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. I'm wondering if vision guidance, so you guys help me out here because I want to make sure that we're doing this the right way. Insert feedback from community conversations to align with guidance. Aligned essential questions. So this is the stuff they filled in from what we provided. Division guidance response to, okay. So I'm assuming that under the division guidance section, which would be our recommendations, we're answering the essential questions. Is that how you guys are looking at this?
That's what I thought.
Okay. So let's go through the essential questions then and see if we have answers to them. But also, hold on, let me make sure this is actually the first, yeah, it is the first slide. Oh, good. Steve Wilkins is actually joining the group. So let's maybe just get quick clarification from him. And then we can make sure we're on point. Hey, Steve.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. Okay, good. You came in at the right time. We finished working in the workbook and looking at all the interdependencies and what the recommendations would be. And so now we've come over to the playbook. So I want to get clarification, and I'm hoping that you've heard this in other groups. Are we now supposed to, in our playbook, respond to the essential questions that were pulled out of our worksheet?
Yes, but let's get some guidance from Natalie. Stand by.
Okay.
So Ms. Hardeman, do you want to start with where it says like summary, or I don't know if we're supposed to get the criteria?
No, I don't think I think that, well, let's wait and see what he says. I'm
Okay.
thinking though that we need to try to see if we can respond to the essential questions. But I could be wrong. There's a lot of information.
A whole lot of information.
Yeah.
I was trying to look at the other like team slides and what they were putting, like in technology, for example, because I don't see them answering the division guidance questions either. They did put a criteria for success, but I don't know where that would have come from.
So we haven't finished the community conversations, and we're going to have another survey.
Right.
So how are we
Yep.
even going to address it till we get that data?
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't we just put that in?
But I heard her say in the breakout, the big room today, that this is where they were expecting us to transition to after we completed the workbook. So I just want to make sure that we are following
unless
the guidance.
They want us to pull these answers for what we heard from that data that Clint presented. I don't know.
I think we could just like briefly say that, on the first survey, it appears that most staff.
Oh, good. Hold on a second.
Wants to
Here she
return.
comes. Wait a minute. We got Natalie coming in. Hi, Natalie. Oh, she should be. Is she here?
Hi.
Hi, Natalie.
Yes.
Hi, it's hard. I can't see because, I have the screen up.
No problem.
So we wanted to get some clarification. We went through our workbook today and completed the information that we have in our workbook. And now we came over to the playbook to take a look at what it is that we are charged to do in the next steps. Can you kind of give us some clarity on what we need to be looking at to move forward?
Sure. So you're on the human resources slide. Let me go to that one so I can walk you through that step by step. Okay. So what you're going to do on this slide for what we heard is first look to see in the survey data if there's any aligned data that confirms the decisions that you're going to be outlining below at the division level and at the school level. So that's the first thing to look at. The second thing to take a look at, or perhaps to start with actually, is writing a summary of the topic and also to add some criteria of success. So that can be maybe in your workbooks. I know you started with a different link way back when, so if you added the criteria of success there, that would be a great place to look. Or you can come up and generate a new criteria based on information and decisions that you made thus far. After doing that, when you look at the division guidance, you can think of those as your responses to the essential questions that we added here. And also to think about what is going to be consistent across the schools, no matter what, in terms of the support that we're offering.
So can I ask a question? So what if we are supporting or endorsing a specific model? I know that the two, we have hybrid here, we have virtual here, checked off. We kind of had discussion at the beginning of our session today to see where we all stood today based on the information we have today.
Yeah.
So based on that, are we still required to look at the hybrid model today? Because that is not what we would recommend today.
That's a really good question. So what I would say to that is you can edit these check marks and take them out as you see fit. So if you feel like the guidance that you want to recommend for principals is more so based on a virtual model, then you can take out this hybrid check mark, or actually this one here, so that the reader will know this is our guidance specifically for virtual. That's totally fine. I would also add though, if there is specific guidance that you feel like is a better fit for a hybrid model, feel free to make a separate slide and create guidance that's more aligned to that too. But you can edit this slide as you see fit. They're just checked there in kind of like a default setting, but you can edit that as much as you want.
So let me ask another kind of question too, just for clarification. So in the what we heard, I think that there are still survey information and community conversation that's not specifically aligned to talking about staff. I think based on our discussions today, and group, please chime in. I don't want to be talking for everyone. What we have acknowledged is that there is significant impact from our neighboring school divisions, the other environmental impacts that we have discussed that are not necessarily linked back to specific survey data, because that information was not specific to staff in many ways. What, is that okay to put there, or what is it exactly that you all need in order to like culminate all this with the other groups?
I think it can be grounded in the survey data. That's the best case scenario. But if you feel like you don't have the data to support it specifically, you can use information that you have based on what other districts are doing, or just what you know to be true about staffing in this region to ground the recommendations that you're providing here.
And I wanted to chime in because the fact the survey was given, and when it was given to staff, it was like, are you going to return? Would you like to return or not? It wasn't, would you return in a virtual setting? Would you return in a hybrid setting? Where do you feel more comfortable? The same thing with the parents. I think that the survey data that we have, which had 2/3 parents and 2/3 staff willing to come back into a building setting, is not what you're going to get next week. Nor is it the same feedback, because I've gone to 2 of the community chats already, and I'm listening both from the staffing perspective and as a community member, that's not the feel I'm getting. So if we said we were making this decision dependent upon the survey results or community chat, it's going to be flawed until we actually have it. So that's why I think what Sandra was saying is that we're uncomfortable saying, oh, based on the data, because the data is going to skew it to hybrid.
Right.
So then I think the wording that you have here about the information that you do and don't have works for now. I think as we get more information, what our team can do is make sure that as we continue to refine the playbooks, if we get more information that confirms the recommendations that are here, we'll update that for you. But for now, I think this is safe to put here to say, like, we don't have the information quite yet from the surveys.
Okay.
Any other questions about formatting or what should be in specific sections? I'm happy to stay on here until 11 if you need more help.
I think it'd be great if you would hang out for maybe 5 or 7 minutes more, just to make sure that we are targeting our conversation in the right direction.
Happy to.
That would be fantastic, and then we'll keep moving forward.
No problem.
Okay. So Alexander, do you have the screen? Obviously, you're not doing it on my screen, but are you on the slide and able to continue to scribe for us?
Yes, ma'am.
My recommendation to the group, and you guys tell me if you want to take it in a different approach, is probably for us to be able to make sure that what we are answering in terms of the essential questions actually ties into the criteria for success. We could look at those essential questions first, because that's something that we've already had discussion about. Are you guys comfortable with that? Or do you want to take it in the order that's on the form?
I'm fine following your direction.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Sandra.
Okay, so let's look at the aligned essential questions. So the first question is, how will we communicate repurposing of teachers who will not return? And that we formed that question because we were considering the hybrid model. So in the virtual model, do we still have that question to answer? Is there still a potential for teachers not to return in the virtual model?
I don't believe so.
I agree with Alexander. I don't believe so either.
Do you think there's any teachers that will still feel an issue with childcare?
Yeah.
It may be also dependent upon what the expectations are from a virtual teaching model, whether or not a staff member would feel that he or she could even return virtually. And that's a whole different thing. But I think the majority of the people will accept the virtual model. And it might be on a case-by-case basis for the repurposing.
So let me ask you this, because I think the key component of this question really is, how will we communicate repurposing of teachers? And it's not the who will not return, because we still have the option, whether we were doing virtual or hybrid, we had the discussion about how teachers could be used differently in a hybrid or virtual environment.
I think it's a school-based decision based on their licensing criteria, because I think within my building, I could approach staff members and say, okay, based on our needs, you will be assigned to, and that's within the realm of what I can do. And then, of course, then HR would then check on their certifications and so on. But I do think it's a school-based communication.
Okay. And I think we did have that discussion before, and we were in agreement in terms of it being school-based. We also had a little bit, oh, someone's in the chat, sorry. Okay, so Dr. Wilkins put a comment in. The question seems awkward. HR cannot repurpose a teacher. A teacher must work on site or remotely. It's a school-based decision. So we just confirm what Pat said. And that's why I said we need to modify that question some, because it's not a who will not return. It is in either environment. The answer or the response that we're giving is that school-based, the principal may use their discretion in reassignment or repurposing in either environment. Does that answer sound appropriate for that question?
Isn't that licensure also, the way Pat explained that?
Yeah, it is. But it's
Yeah.
still the principal making the decision. And then, as she said, she would have to check on their licensing or endorsement.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's a school-based decision. I don't think I'm seeing, hold on a second, another message in here. So Dr. Wilkins recommends the word assign rather than repurpose.
Yeah, of course, Dr. Wilkins would say that. Yeah, it sounds nicer. It's like recycle, reuse, reduce.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think I can see the real-time changes. Alexandra, are you typing into the response for the division guidance?
Oh my goodness, you all
Yes.
can't see it?
No.
Do you want me to share my screen, or Alexander, do you want to share your screen? Because it's updating for me. I certainly see
Oh,
it.
really? I don't know why it's not updating for me. I don't see it.
I just got anxiety.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. It's all here.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
Okay. Let me stop mine
Okay.
so that you can do it.
Whoever is the host, could you let me share my screen? It says it's whoever's the host is disabled.
I am the host. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Multiple. Is it allowing you to do it now?
Let's try. Yes, thank you.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. All right. Do we see it updating now?
Yeah, I do. I see it. I don't know why it wasn't showing on my screen.
Oh, you're good.
Perfect. Okay, and then the next, as he's finishing typing, we'll look at the next question. How will we fulfill any staff shortages? And if we go back to our workbook, one of the things that we looked at and discussed is just reviewing our current substitute pool and platform and making recommendations to ensure that there's coverage. Some of this will also fall under CNI. So the HR part of it is that we have the, we have the substitute database, but the other part of it could be that CNI says that pre-recorded lessons are permissible if someone's going to be out, or they may have flexibility built into the scheduling of their, of the student time in a virtual environment. So we will have to coordinate with them on what the needs are or what the expectations are from the curriculum standpoint.
Is that some division guidance you want to add above about how you'll coordinate with CNI?
Oh yeah.
And where would we put that?
That would go in
criteria
this
for
top.
success? Okay.
That would go in the division guidance.
In the division guide, where is there a division guidance?
Yep, I'll just move this down so it's a little bit easier to see.
Oh, okay, right there, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, okay. Good.
And you said coordinate. What was the bullet you wanted me to capture right here?
I didn't think there was an additional bullet, just
Oh, okay.
that we're coordinating with CNI to see what their recommendations are in terms of actual classroom time and instruction. Because they could be, as I mentioned, they could be saying that, well, we need, we can use part pre-recorded lessons, part in live lessons, and that will impact how we cover classes. Because it could be, if they're only doing 4 hours of instruction a day, that another teacher could swap out and cover, or it could be that we use a substitute. It just opens up the options
Right.
depending what schedule they decide upon. Okay, and then the next question, which was our fun question, we had a lot of discussion about, how will we support mental health for staff? And we talked about several pieces that, one is utilizing our current health wellness benefits and creating a communication vehicle so that staff are aware of those opportunities or options, including the employee assistance program and the mental health parity provisions with health insurance. Yeah.
And telehealth too. Behavioral telehealth is huge right now. And the medical carriers should have that available.
And Alexander, Dr. Wilkins said to change CNI to, it's now the Department of Teaching, Learning, and Leadership, TLL. So learn that acronym. We love acronyms in ACPS.
Yeah.
Teaching, Learning, and Leadership.
Got it. We made that edit, and I'll communicate that or remind Sima and Christina of that too.
And I think down under where it says the other action for school building action items, remember we had a discussion about using our wellness champions to establish community groups, or I forgot the word we use, like affinity groups, but it's not an affinity group.
Like a
what do we call it?
Contact.
Yeah.
What is
Said interest-based or something
Yeah,
like that.
yes, that's it. Thank you, Don. You are listening. You're such a good student. Yes. So use wellness to establish interest-based groups that would support community building.
You realize that's just clubs, right?
Yeah, I know, but you know,
it sounds
clubs-
better.
It sounds better.
Or what's it called? Infinity groups? Affinity groups?
Yeah, well, there are places that call it infinity groups, but the infinity groups are a little bit different, and we're not as
I know it.
structured for that.
Okay. Okay.
We're not as structured, so we can though build teams and clubs. Okay, so that's perfect. Thank you. Anything else you want to add to that before we go to the next one?
Sandra, I did have just a thought, and I don't know how this would play into this in terms of the mental health supports for staff. There might be, you know, like doctors or medical professionals in the community that might be willing to offer, you know, free or very low cost services for ACPS staff also.
Okay, so Natalie wanted to let us know that we have 5 minutes left. These are due by Thursday, end of day. So starting Friday morning, our team will be combing through the playbooks to prepare them to share them across teams. So what I would ask then, since we still have, we're about halfway through our questions, is there any opportunity for, I know calendars are like packed. Is it any possibility that maybe 1 or 2 of you would like to work with me later on this afternoon, and then we share it with the rest of our team to give input so that we can continue? Because we're not creating anything new. We're basically pulling off of the information that we've already discussed. Is there a comfort level with that?
No, I can't. I would love to, but we have the schedule, the teacher growth and assessment.
Yeah, I'm on that as well.
Yeah, from
That's
12:30 to
2:30. That's like till 2:30.
2:30.
What about any
Or tomorrow morning.
Does anyone have time tomorrow morning?
I have time.
10 o'clock.
Can we do like 10 tomorrow?
You guys don't have your principals chat tomorrow?
No, it's next week. We have it every other week.
Oh,
So
it's
we're-
every other week? Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, then that 10 o'clock time is fine. I can do that.
So then if you just want to have us all join you at 10 tomorrow?
Yep, use the same link that we're using for every session. So the
Okay.
same link. And anyone that can join us tomorrow, I mean, everyone's welcome to come in. If you can't, we will just share. You have access to the drive, so you can go in and look and make comment if there's something that you feel we did not capture. Does that feel okay for everyone?
Yep. Last
Yes.
question I have is, where can I find the summary and the criteria from so I can input that in?
I don't know that we did a formalized summary, but some of the information that would be part of that summary is on the week one. It's at the bottom. They moved the directions in the form. So it's
Okay.
actually now, it was week one, it's at the bottom of the form that we were just
Got it.
working in the workbook. So if
Got
you
it.
want to take a stab at that beforehand, all the better, because that will help us kind of move things along.
Yeah.
Do we have any any type of questions or anything we need to do before we exit out? Because I see we have 2 minutes left. We have a plan for tomorrow, so I think we're in a good place. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. I think that helps us. I think we're on the right path.
No, no problem at all. If you have any questions, you can tag me as a comment in your slide,
Okay.
and I can just answer them asynchronously. So
Okay.
no problem.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're
Anybody
welcome.
else from our team? Do we have anything that we need to put on our to-do list for tomorrow? Any thoughts, concerns? Awesome. Hey guys, we're actually ending before time today. So yay for us. But I will see you all back tomorrow at 10 a.m. on the same station.
Same time,
Thanks so
same
much.
channel.
Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.